Tony Robbins has coached some of the most successful CEOs and business leaders on the planet. People running billion-dollar companies. People who, from the outside, have everything. And yet, when the door closes and the cameras turn off, many of them tell him the same thing. I've achieved everything I set out to achieve, but I still feel empty. Sound familiar? In this video, I'm going to break down Tony Robbins' most powerful quotes on creating fulfillment as a CEO. Not just success, but true fulfillment. And more importantly, I'm going to show you why most CEOs get this completely wrong and what you need to understand if you're going to experience the inner peace, authentic power, and liberated fulfillment that success was supposed to bring you in the first place.
Because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I get those phone calls all the time for the multi-billionaire entrepreneur or politician or business person or a person just won their Academy Award and they're depressed and they can't tell anybody because they got all their goals, but they're not fulfilled.
This is a line that stopped me in my tracks when I first heard Tony say it, because it's the truth that every senior executive knows but rarely admits. You build the company, you've generated the revenue, you've proven yourself to the world, but inside there's restlessness, stress, self-doubt, loneliness. And this is the success emptiness disconnect that I see in every CEO I work with. It's happening because achievement and fulfillment are two completely different things. Achievement is external. Fulfillment is internal. Achievement is about what you do. Fulfillment is about who you become. What ends up happening is that most CEOs spend their entire lives mastering achievement while completely neglecting the inner work that creates fulfillment. They think the next milestone will finally bring peace, the next exit, the next revenue goal, but it never does, because you can't achieve your way into inner peace. You can't hustle your way into authentic power. You can't grind your way into liberated fulfillment. Those things require a completely different process, one that addresses the unconscious patterns, the limiting beliefs, and the shadow aspects of yourself that you've been avoiding your entire career. And until you do that work, you're going to keep achieving and keep feeling empty.
Just think about a month ago, we lost what I consider to be a national treasure, Robin Williams. By the way, was he great at achievement? Oh my God, that guy, he said he wanted to become a great comedian. He did that. I want to make the world laugh. He did it. I want to make my own TV show. He did it. I want to have the #1 TV show. He did it. I want to make movies. He did it. I want an Academy Award for not being funny, not his skill set, drama, and he did it. I want a beautiful family, and he did it. And then he hung himself. Make everybody happy but yourself. Not a good plan.
Tony uses Robin Williams as a stark example here. Someone who made the entire world laugh. Someone who achieved everything he set out to achieve. And yet, as we all know, Robbins struggled deeply, which brings us to Tony's brutal conclusion. You can't sacrifice yourself for everyone else and expect to be fulfilled. But this is exactly what most senior executives do. You make everyone else happy, your board, your investors, your team, your family, but somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. You became so good at performing the role of CEO that you forgot who you actually are beneath the title. And you became so focused on managing everyone else's expectations that you stopped listening to your own inner voice. This is what I call the helping trap, where your assistance becomes enabling. Your leadership becomes codependency, where you're so busy taking care of everyone else that you never take care of yourself. And the cost of this: chronic stress, burnout, decision fatigue, overwhelm, racing mind at 3 a.m., difficulty inspiring your team while managing your own inner chaos, feeling disconnected from your authentic power and your core purpose beneath the executive persona. Now, here's the thing. This doesn't get fixed by better time management or delegation strategies. This gets fixed by doing the deep inner work that reconnects you to who you actually are, not who you think you need to be to succeed.
So if I had a gift to give you, it would be maybe make a different decision. And the decision is that no matter what happens in your life, you're going to live in a beautiful state. And that could be happy, that could be grateful, that could be being generous. Those are all beautiful states, aren't they? It could be curious, it could be fun, it could be playful. You're not limited to one state, but it's different than suffering.
So Tony says a beautiful state could be gratitude, curiosity, generosity, or playfulness. And the key is you decide. You don't wait for circumstances to change. You don't wait for the next achievement to finally feel at peace. You decide now. But here's where most CEOs miss the mark, and this is critical. You can't just decide your way into a beautiful state if you have unresolved trauma sitting in your nervous system. You can't positive think your way out of unconscious patterns that have been running since childhood. And you can't willpower your way past the limiting beliefs and shadow aspects that keep sabotaging you. This is where the work goes deeper than traditional executive coaching. And this is where Jungian depth psychology comes in to surface the unconscious complexes that are running your behavior. This is where transpersonal psychology comes in to integrate the spiritual dimensions of your experience that you've been avoiding. And this is where Eastern contemplative practices come in to train your nervous system to actually stay in that beautiful state under pressure or not get distracted by it. Because deciding to live in a beautiful state is step one, but developing the capacity to maintain that state when everything is falling apart, that requires transformation at the nervous system level. That requires dissolving the root patterns that keep pulling you into reactivity. And that requires integrating the fragmented parts of yourself so you can finally show up as a grounded, present, authentic leader.
And most people suffering, and all suffering I've ever seen, I've traveled to 100 countries, I've dealt with presidents of countries and, presidents of businesses, CEOs, I've dealt with people in prison, I've dealt with, you name it, average people. Suffering always comes because you're obsessed about something related to you. You can only be depressed if you're focusing on yourself. You say, no, I'm depressed because it's my kids and they're not doing well. No, you're depressed because you feel you failed your kids. It's about you. It's about how you think what you should have done or shouldn't have done, or what someone did to you or didn't do to you in the past or the future, which don't even exist.
This one hits hard. So think about this for a second. When you're lying awake at 3 a.m. with your mind racing, what are you thinking about? Your failures, your inadequacies, what people think of you, what you should have said in the meeting, why you're not enough despite everything you've achieved. It's all self-focused. It's all self-suffering. And here's the thing. The patterns that create the suffering are unconscious. They're in your nervous system. They're in your body. They're in unintegrated shadow aspects of the personality that you've repressed your entire life. This is the imposter syndrome that won't go away no matter how much you achieve. This is the chronic stress that follows you everywhere, even on vacation. This is the reactivity and emotional volatility under pressure that damages your relationships. And until you bring these patterns into consciousness, until you do the shadow work and integrate these fragmented parts of yourself, you'll keep suffering no matter how much success you have. The work I do with executives addresses this at the root level, because we're not managing symptoms, we're dissolving the unconscious patterns through integrative techniques that rewire your nervous system and transform your relationship to yourself.
And the human mind is always looking for what's wrong. The human brain is not designed to make you happy, it's designed to make you survive. Happiness, that's your job. And you only get it if you draw a line in the sand, that's how it's going to be.
This is critical because your brain is constantly scanning for threats. What's wrong? What could go wrong? What you need to fix or control or optimize. And this is why high performers are so good at success and so bad at fulfillment, because your survival brain rewards achievement, productivity, and control. But fulfillment, that requires letting go. It requires vulnerability. It requires being with what is rather than constantly striving for what's next. And for most CEOs, that's terrifying, because if you're not achieving, who are you? If you're not in control, what's your value? If you're not proving yourself, why do you matter? These are the unconscious beliefs that drive the success emptiness disconnect. These are the childhood wounds that are still running your adult behavior. These are the patterns of overwork and hidden psychology behind your inability to delegate. And until you address them, until you do the deep psychological and spiritual work that integrates these parts of yourself, you'll keep achieving and keep feeling empty. Tony's right. Happiness is your job. But happiness doesn't come from more achievement. It comes from inner peace, authentic power, and liberated fulfillment. And those things require doing the work that most executives avoid because it's uncomfortable, because it requires looking at the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, because it requires sitting with discomfort instead of numbing it with work, because it requires developing the capacity to be with whatever arises without collapsing into it. But when you do this work, everything changes. Not because your circumstances change, but because you're no longer at the mercy of your unconscious patterns.
Suffering arises and you end it the moment you go, I'm thinking about me. If I do this, I'll always be suffering.
This is the shift that changes everything. The moment you recognize that you're trapped in self-focused thinking, you can shift. But here's the nuance most people miss. You can't shift through effort or willpower alone. You shift by creating space, by learning to witness your thoughts without being consumed by them by developing what I call response ability, the ability to respond consciously instead of reacting automatically. And this is what the integrative practices I teach create. The ability to be with whatever arises without collapsing into it. The ability to sit with discomfort has a pathway to growth. The ability to lead from presence instead of panic. When you develop this capacity, you naturally move out of self-focused suffering. You stop taking everything personally. You stop making everything about you. And you start leading from a place of calm presence and authentic power, not from ego or fear or the need for external validation. This is mastery of being. This is what transforms you from a reactive leader to a grounded one. And this is what allows you to maintain inner peace under pressure while inspiring your team from a place of overflow rather than depletion. So those are Tony's most powerful quotes on creating fulfillment as a CEO. These are powerful principles, but here's what I want you to understand. Principles alone won't transform you. You need a process. So if you want to learn my proven process for helping executives create fulfillment, overcoming unconscious patterns, and rewiring the nervous system, then click the video on the screen. In that video, I show you the strategies that have worked for hundreds of executives and that I've coached over the last 25 years. So it's safe to say that it's a proven approach. Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, subscribe to the channel for more content on mastery of being, and I'll see you in the next video.